Mariah, welcome to Visibility Era, the pod. What's going on?
Oh my God, I'm so excited for this conversation. I feel like we're just gonna like ping off of each other. I think it's gonna be really good.
Naturally, you and I had a Zoom call like a month ago, and we probably could have spent like 2 hours on the call. We're basically the same person. I think we're both generators in human
Yes.
design also. And I was telling you before we started recording that you also like gene keys, and what a shame Lydia is not here today because Lydia would be going crazy that you love gene keys.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, dude, when you start exploring it, I'm a rabbit hole girl. I just go down rabbit holes, and then that has been a rabbit hole. It's one of my favorite books. And maybe it's good that she's not here just because like I feel like we wouldn't be talking about what we want to be talking about. We would have sidestepped the conversation into straight up gene keys.
This would be just a Gene Keys conversation. Maybe we'll do round two of that. So here is what we are talking about today. We're talking about SEO and how it can be, I think, like kind of sexy. It's one of those things that I'm sure people eye roll when you even say the word SEO. So like, what is SEO? How do we make it not sexy, Mariah? Or
Well,
sexy? How do we make it sexy?
yeah, so it's funny because I think it is naturally, but I mean, the people hate it. The people hate it. Okay, so SEO stands for search engine optimization, and basically it means that your website is optimized to show up in search results like Google. I say like Google because us SEO people mainly refer to Google when we're talking about SEO, but when you optimize your website for Google, you end up showing up in all of the other search engines, Bing, Yahoo, all of the other ones. But Google,
What
as
about
we all,
DuckDuckGo? My
yeah,
favorite.
you can show up there too. That's fine. But we only talk about Google because it has the biggest market share. I think they have like 85% of the market share. So SEO helps you get free and organic traffic from search results on search engines. This is compared to the paid ads. Paid ads and SEO are not the same thing. Paid ads are Google ads. It's a different strategy. I don't fuck with paid ads, to be honest. Organic SEO, that's my favorite thing because you can build momentum that like can continuously build over time, whereas with paid ads or even with social media, like when you stop paying or when you stop engaging, you lose traffic. SEO, on the other hand, if you build a solid ass foundation and you keep like baby stepping, you end up building momentum. I feel like there's a lot of similarities with PR and with SEO. It's kind of like once you get the foundations, everything else is a little easier. And I think SEO is unsexy because people are just like, it's technical, it's
Mm.
overwhelming. I'm over it. Like, I don't want to think about it. There's too many layers. And yes, SEO can be very complex and it can be very nuanced. But SEO isn't about perfection, even though that's what the agencies want to scare you into thinking. It's actually about infusing SEO friendly habits into the shit that you're already doing. So that's kind of my perspective. And it's like you can build on it versus like having to get everything perfect right away.
I love that. I actually don't know your back. I don't remember if we talked about it. Like, what is your backstory with search engine optimization? Were you like a nerd in high school where you were like, WordPress blog, like 101, you knew all this kind of stuff? Like, how did you get into this?
Yeah, it's funny. So no, I was not a nerd. I was a party girl in high school. Like we do not have to talk about those kind of stories because it would be a little embarrassing for the current me now. But basically, I was like a MySpace girl. That's actually where my name came from. Mariah Magazine was my MySpace name when I was 14. And so what happened is my real last name is Leszewski, extremely Polish. Imagine if I was like, go to mariahleszewski.com. Who would do that? Nobody would do that. That wouldn't be a thing. So in high school, I was always friends with older people, so they were never in the classes with me or anything. So nobody actually knew my last name. So everybody in high school would call me Mariah Magazine, Mariah Mags, something like that, because that's what we saw in MySpace. And so even like my closest friends had no idea what my last name was, which is like hilarious. And so when I was 20 years old, my brother bought the domain name mariahmagazine.com for my birthday present. And he was like, I don't know what you're going to do with it. You're going to do something for it. And so I was like interested in like fine arts and then graphic design. Like art was really the thing that I wanted, but I didn't want my income to depend on if somebody liked my design or not. I wasn't down with that. But I also was always kind of into technology. Like with MySpace, I was the girl that was like coding people's MySpaces, editing their photos, and like trying to make their profile look good, which is like old school visibility for like teenagers,
Remember when you
essentially.
could have like a song on your MySpace page too, so that when people came to the page, it was like Simple Plan. That was me. It was like Simple Plan time.
Yeah, I remember mine was like Boots with the Fur. My friends was like Pretty Ricky. Like we used
Classic.
to, dude, yeah, the songs are so great. So yes, basically, I remember I was trying to figure out like what the fuck am I gonna do with my life? Like I feel like I understand the visual aspect of things, and like I know kind of how to code MySpace or whatever. And my brother is in the technology field, but he like makes servers and stuff, like nerd stuff, dude. He like respectfully,
Yeah.
what? God bless. We need you. We need you in this life. And so basically he was like, he's 8 years older than me. And he was like, Mariah, this was like his like only big brotherly moment because usually I'm acting like his older sibling. But he was like, where the world's going is like technology. And like, you gotta do something with technology. He was like, what if you did website development? And I was like, you're dumb. No, I'm not doing website development. And then I ended up going to school for like 4 or 5 different majors. I switched my majors so many times. And I ended up being like, I'm gonna go for website development. I'm gonna go online. So I was like 2 semesters in, ended up quitting school because they were teaching me table layouts. And this is when like table layouts were already completely outdated. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to teach myself. So I ended up bullshitting an online portfolio and then answered an ad on Craigslist for a paid internship as a website designer. I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out. I'm curious. I learn quickly. I think that I'm smart. And so I'm like, I'll figure it out. I think that I know like what looks good. And so I ended up landing this internship in which it was like 2 dudes, 4 years older than me, running an agency. And so the one guy was a WordPress website developer. He just took me under his wing and literally taught me everything that he knew. They were starting to dabble in SEO. And then I ended up starting my own thing on the side, like doing website design. They were totally cool with it, but they ended up closing down their agency, going separate ways. He actually ended up doing like SEO for his uncle's massive company down the road. And so he's always been like a mentor to me. And so they ended up funneling clients into me. And then I started creating websites for people on WordPress. And I was like, okay, this is so cool. And then people would come to me and they'd be like, well, how do I get found? And I'm like, not my business. I don't know. And then I ended up finding the online business space through Facebook groups when Facebook groups were really big. And I started doing like coffee chats and like service swaps with people and like guest blog posting for people and ended up making like decent friends that I'm still friends with today in the business space. And I just felt like I was understanding the online space in a way that nobody around me was getting. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start blogging about it. So I ended up creating blog posts about like how to use Pinterest and just like how to use this and like different tools and like how to navigate these things. And I realized that I was running into the same issue that my clients were of just like, okay, well, how do I get eyeballs on this? And I'm like, shit, I have to learn SEO. That's just the next step. That's what I have to do. And everybody kept asking, how do I get in Google? And I'm like, oh, like go away. I don't know. And then I'm like, okay, I have to learn. And I hated it. I thought it was literally the worst thing in the world. And that's because most of the content, especially at the time, was either created by advanced SEO people talking to other advanced SEO people, working like in-house teams with like their own team of SEO people, or it was SEO agencies trying to be overwhelming or super vague, so you just paid them on retainer. There really wasn't anybody breaking down SEO in a way that made sense for online business owners, solo business owners, small business owners, absolutely nobody. Even to this day, I've been in business for, it'll be 9 years this summer. And even to this day, I get people all the time that are just like, thank you for breaking it down in a way that makes sense, because even now, my industry is not transparent. And they're not transparent, I think, because of the business model. So the business model is SEO agency, it's retainer, pay me to do it for you. Me, when I started getting into this stuff and transitioning from website design and development to solely SEO, I was like, I don't want to run an agency. I don't want to manage people. Like, I don't want forever ongoing retainers. I like consulting. I like the foundations. Let me help you set up the foundations and the keyword research and the gaps in the market and a content strategy. I don't want to do it for you. all of the time. And so my thing is I tell my clients, even now, I'm just like, I don't want you to need me forever. And because of that, and because like I think that as a business owner to business owner, I would want to know what these people are doing. Transparency is extremely important to me, and it's not important to a lot of SEO agencies because you'll pay an SEO agency on retainer for, let's say, 6 to 12 months. You might get really great results. Cool, then what? Now you have to keep paying them to continue to get results. Like as a business owner, that just felt like, okay, well, now I have to pay you forever. Versus, can I empower my clients, educate my clients, consult my clients along the way, and have them start infusing SEO friendly habits into the things that they're already doing? And this business model supports my zone of genius of like, I like consulting and I like educating. So that's the long-winded journey here.
It's so good. And this is why like you and I just vibed right away because like we have the same mission of visibility and purpose. It's like there are huge companies that have full on PR teams, but that wasn't being translated to the small business owner. Like a mom and pop or just like an online solopreneur, maybe they have like a VA on their team. They don't know what to do. Like they don't have these skills. And we were like, let's just give them the skills and then they can choose what they do with it. So I agree 1000%. Yeah, this is so, so illuminating. Where does someone start with SEO? Like, I know you're all about empowering people with the foundations. What are some of the small things that we can be doing like right now after or we like pause this episode and we're like, all right, let me go to my website and fix it. What do I do?
Yeah. So the first thing is set up Google Analytics and Google Search Console. So a lot of people hear about Google Analytics. So it's like the free analytics platform from Google. And honestly, you don't even have to use Google Analytics. You can use Fathom. You can use like any other analytics that aligns with like your business values and stuff like that. But some kind of analytics platform because Google judges a website on over 200 factors, and a lot of them are user experience. So how do we need some kind of data to be able to understand how people are using our website? Where are they coming from? How long are they spending on the page? How many pages are they viewing? And all of which pages are they leaving our website on? So having some kind of analytics set up. So Google Analytics is free. You can set it up. It probably takes about 5 minutes. If you download my free roadmap to successful SEO, mariahmagazine.com/roadmap, I have an overview of SEO and then it includes links to my YouTube videos on how to set up Google Analytics. So watch those videos. I walk you through the entire step of the process. Otherwise, you're going to be like, literally, you're going to open up Google Analytics and be like, LOL, no. Like, no, girl, we are not doing this. So set up Google Analytics or, like I said, another analytics platform. Cool. We love that. But the main juice for SEO that a lot of people don't know about, unless they're in SEO or unless they've been DIYing it for a while, is Google Search Console. So basically, that's how Google views your website. So Google Search Console allows you to see what keywords you're already showing up on Google for, the click-through rate, and how many people are driving from Google search results over to specific pages on your website and what keywords they're coming from. A lot of people think that you have to pay for an expensive SEO tool for this data, and you don't. You have to just set up Google Search Console. So in the free roadmap to SEO, I have a link to that video as well. And so in Google Search Console, it also gives you the ability to be able to see, because Google will crawl your website every once in a while because it's got to keep the index updated. In the index, think about it like a big filing cabinet. We have to keep the filing cabinet updated because think about it, Google's a business. Google does not want to show people that doesn't make any sense or like outdated websites. Like on page one, they want their users to be happy, so people keep coming to Google because Google makes a shit ton of money on Google Ads and Google products in general. Okay. So when the Google bots are crawling your website to keep the filing cabinet updated, they might see some errors on your website or some issues on your website. They will put them and notify you in Google Search Console. So you don't have to pay for this, but I will say context, nuance here. Not every quote unquote error that Google Search Console shows you needs to be fixed. That's a huge
Mhm.
thing. People will be like, oh my God, there's like 700 errors on my site. And they all depend on context. Some of them will be like, oh, this page isn't crawlable by Google. And then you look at the page and you're like, it's my privacy policy page. I don't want that crawlable by Google.
Right. Right.
So it's like we have to keep that context. But I would say like definitely like if you only do one thing, even if you don't want to look at the data right now, set that stuff up because that data is going to be wildly helpful.
So interesting. Obviously, never even, well, I haven't heard of the council, heard of analytics, but this is so interesting. Is the council kind of like a site like SEMrush where you can, put in your website, but they might make you pay if you want to get on some of the plans and it like
No,
crawls the website? Okay, it's different.
it's like literally, it's like Google Analytics. It's all free.
It's fantastic.
It's all free. It's a
Love this.
little, it's easy to look at if you just want to like take a look at the basics. It's hard to look at if you need to get nitty gritty. That's why people
Yeah.
also pay for an expensive SEO tool. It's easier to run reports and to look at data and to compare things and like you just have more tools. But
Yep.
Google Search Console is like an like absolutely amazing free tool.
Yeah. I saw you talking about blogs the other day on Instagram and I was like, "Ooh, I love this tip." And you talked about how like you don't need to be writing a new blog every week. You can update it. So talk a little bit about that and how important are blogs on someone's website for searchability?
Yeah. So the cool thing about blogs, okay, so let me kind of explain things here. So the thing that connects your website with Google search results are keywords. Keywords connect your website. And so basically what the Googlebots do when they're scanning your website is like they'll scan each page on your website. And by page, I mean homepage, about page, contact page. A blog post is a page. If you have an e-commerce shop, each of your product pages are a page, your collection page is a page. They will scan those, try to pick up and understand what's the main idea of this page so they can put it into the filing cabinet accordingly. They pick how they figure that out. There is no way to be like, this is my target keyword, Google. Put me in this section of the filing cabinet. They used to have that. It was called meta keywords. They
Hmm.
don't, it does not matter anymore. Google, like marketers and business owners, we ruined it because we were trying to manipulate and showing up for things that we weren't the best solution to the problem for. So Google is now like, okay, prove it. So the Google bots kind of take a look at that page and context clues. What is this page about? So I can put it in the right section of the filing cabinet. Cool. So you can target like a keyword on your homepage, target a keyword on your about page, on each of your services pages, you can target a keyword. Blog posts are really helpful because they allow you to target more keywords because you're creating specific pages to be the best solution to that problem while connecting that keyword to it. So it kind of multiplies the doors in which people can find you on Google for. And then also, Google will take a look at your site and be like, okay, well, there's a ton of PR strategists. Like, why should we choose you? Well, look, like if you scan the website, maybe you have 10 articles about PR, educating and showcasing your authority and your perspective and your tone. And Google takes that into account because they're like, okay, this website isn't creating random ass content under all of these
Right.
different umbrellas. Instead, it seems like they're an authority in their space. And so it's called topical authority with Google. So blog posts can also improve like your topical authority and help the Google bots better understand your website.
This is so cool. And I'm sure for some people they're like, "What?" Like this might go over people's head, right? Well, that's why everyone should, go work with Mariah so she can explain this to you in her layman's terms. You also have a great YouTube channel too where you talk through all these things. Are you also doing Pinterest still?
So thank you about the YouTube channel. I'm actively still trying to grow it. So if you want to check out my tutorials, just search Mariah Magazine over on YouTube. But I actually stopped paying for Pinterest. I was paying for it for about 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
Only
Okay,
got
why?
maybe one client from it. It wasn't translating. I looked at my Google Analytics and like the people that found me from Pinterest were the people that were spending the least amount of time on my website and it wasn't translating into sales. Where it's
Interesting.
YouTube, I can see directly how much, like because I sell digital products, right? So it's like I can see through my digital product sales that most of my sales are coming from people finding me from Google, finding me from YouTube and my email list and
Mm.
Instagram. Like not Pinterest. Pinterest literally for the past 5 years was showing a zero.
That's super interesting. We know that Pinterest can be great for things like keywords, right? Versus, Instagram, it's very hard for you for your post to show up if you just type something in the search. Like that's, almost impossible, right? So we know that Pinterest is good at that. And we did this whole like I think it was like 7, 8 months of like a whole Pinterest campaign. We went in. Like we have Tailwind, we have all the, all of it really trying to focus on Pinterest and it just really wasn't converting for us. I think we did some like boosting on Pinterest also where yeah, we saw the numbers go up, which was like cool and exciting, a dopamine hit, but it still wasn't translating into anything sales wise.
Yeah, it's always super interesting. And I feel like that's another reason to have a data analytics platform set up, just so you can make decisions. Like if you're listening, you're a small business owner, or just like you're wearing 17 different hats. We have to see what marketing platforms, what marketing strategies align, what are working. Because you know what I also think plays a role in here that a lot of people don't want to talk about? It's energetics. Which strategy is aligned with your energy? What do you want to do? Like
Yeah,
me, I don't want to create a blog post at this time. Like I already did that for my blog for a very long time, got amazing results. That's what got me into SEO. But right now, I'm more focused on, since I don't have a team, I'm more focused on YouTube and showing up there for SEO. And that's translating into sales and to clients and stuff like that. But that aligns with my energy. Most of my clients are like, you could not pay me to show up on YouTube. So then that's why we focus on Google. But it's like, you have to be honest about like, where is your energy? Does this feel fun for you? Does this align with a strength of yours? And then allow yourself to play with it. But it's like, if you never would have experimented with Pinterest, if I never would have experimented, I would never know. I wouldn't have a clue.
totally. I love what you're saying because it's great having two of us, right? So that's me and Lydia, which is fantastic. And we both have different strengths, right? I love creating like training videos and like posting them on YouTube. I think that is like so much fun. And Sheila enjoys that too, but she's incredible at like design of like Instagram and Pinterest. Like you can't pay me. If anyone goes to our Instagram and sees any of those visuals, your girl right here did not make them. Or if I did, it was like I literally probably put like a black background and some text on it. Like I'm simple. I'd rather just like write something or speak something and like let that land. So I think that's a great reminder for people. How did you like figure out what your thing was? Did it light you up? Did you get good feedback? Like, have you always been good at like teaching and making videos?
No. Oh my God. It's so funny because like, if I think about it, it's usually I have this like internal thing in me where if I'm bad at something, I want to get better at it. Also, it's intuition, right? I knew I had to be on YouTube. It was like I started my YouTube back in 2017. It was horrifying. If like, ooh, I have chills even like thinking, like douche chills, thinking about my very first video and just like, oh girl, like
I want to go
so
watch
much,
it.
so much compassion for her because like if that past version of me didn't start, I wouldn't be where I am today. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So like so much love, also douche chills. Like I'm allowed to live in both here. And so I don't know what it was, but it was like I just had this feeling that I had to. And to be honest, I didn't know that I was a good educator. I didn't know that I was a good teacher. And also, when I started my YouTube channel, people were like, you can't grow a successful YouTube channel like with tutorials because people like you solve their problem and then why should they come back and watch more videos? You solve their problem for them. You can't grow a good channel like that. And so I was like, yeah, but I'm so good at tutorials.
Right.
And so I just kept with it. I kept with it. And I was like, I just knew. And I was awful. Like I was not good. I was not good on video. Even to this day, sometimes depending on my mood and like where I am in my cycle, like literally if I go to record YouTube videos, I will start getting nervous and just start sweating. And I will just start sweating. And it's like I have to get through like the first 10 minutes of me fucking up an intro. And then I find my flow and then like we're fine with it. But it's usually I find the things that I'm like, oh, I don't really want to do that. But like, like it's not, I don't want to do that because that's not for me. It's like, I don't want to do that and it feels sticky. So why does it feel sticky? It doesn't feel neutral. I don't want to do that. This feels uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. Why do I feel uncomfortable? And it's like that little breadcrumb for me is like, fuck, I guess I have to do it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can so relate. For me, it's around like speaking, which I know I'm very good at. And I still feel that stickiness every single time when I even think about, sending out more pitches or making introductions. I'm like, oh, but the end result is always amazing. I feel so alive. I feel so rejuvenated. The feedback is incredible. People are like, do you do this for like you're really good at this, you know that, right? And I'm like, I just want to crawl into a corner sometimes though.
Yes, yes, and I was getting that feedback too of like, "Oh my god, thank you broke this down in a way that, like, just makes sense." Like, "Oh my god, thank you so much." And I'm just like, "I blacked out. I have no idea what I said to you. Like, does this make sense? I don't know who I am anymore." And, like, I remember my very first workshop. It was back in, like, 2018, 2019, and, like, I have this thing where it's like, I have to be really foundational. Foundations are my shit. I care a lot about them and it gives me security. I have to know what I'm teaching on. If I don't know, I'm not somebody that can just like bullshit my way through something. I really need to have like a solid foundation. And so the very first workshop that I was teaching was how to set up Google Analytics and like a walkthrough of the dashboard. It was the very first paid workshop that I did. 4 people bought tickets, 2 people showed up live. I did it live, literally hopped off of there, refused to send the recording to the other people because I wanted to redo it without people there. So I did that. But before I did that, I cried in bed for probably about 3 hours because I felt so vulnerable.
Mm.
So it's funny. Then I wrote off workshops. I can't teach workshops. I can't teach live. I'm going to stay with YouTube. This is awful. I'm so uncomfortable. And then it was 2 years ago that I was like, I think I'm actually meant to do workshops.
Hilarious.
Like, I think that I have to do them. And then the next one that I did, I was like, I'm on cloud nine. Like, I've never felt more of a genius. Like, I'm incredible. And it's just so interesting because if I would have completely written it off, from like when I did it before, I would have never done them again. But like it's through live workshops and teaching that I realized I love doing live Q&As and doing podcasts and just being able to flow. But if I wouldn't have even tested this stuff out, I would still be clacking away with blog posts that like don't light me up and don't feel fun to create anymore.
Yeah, I think it's about like leaning into those edges, like those things that feel a little sticky, like you described, because there's usually something there for us, especially when we have a lot of resistance to it. But then there's something that comes out on the other side of it where we're like reborn. And that's very dramatic, but you just feel really alive, and blog posts weren't doing that for you.
Yeah, exactly. Blog posts they just felt safe. And for a lot of
Mhm.
people, it's not only that they feel safe, but like they feel like they are in their zone creating blog posts or SEO optimizing their website. So I do want to say that, like, yes, blog posts are amazing for SEO. You can, like, your services pages, your sales pages, your landing pages, your freebie pages, all of those can be found on Google if you have a correct SEO strategy and if we can find the gaps in the market. So just know if you're just like, listen, I don't want to create blog posts right now, you can still take advantage of SEO. You just have to know what keywords to kind of look for.
Yeah. Yeah. What about the people who might have a website designer? Like, what is the conversation like for them once they have this information?
Yeah. So in the ideal world, I wish that people looped me into website design projects and especially redesign projects before before they launch. So most people think about SEO like after the fact. They're like, I launched my website, I'm ready for SEO. And yes, like if that is my only option to get my hands on your website and to help you rank, like we can do that. But especially like if you're getting a website redesign, please, even if it's just like a 30-minute like SEO consulting session with me, hop on a call or something because your SEO juice follows your domain name. And when you get a website redesign, if you have new pages, if you have all new content and your website designer isn't doing certain things, you can lose all of that SEO juice, all of your backlinks and all of that stuff. So it's important to know kind of what are the things that we have to have in place to carry as much of that SEO juice over into a redesign as possible. But in terms of like a website in general, when you do keyword research, you're finding the words that people are typing into Google, and that can completely create your entire website structure, especially what pages need to be their own pages. So the example that I like to give is like think of a photographer. Like a photographer might be a wedding photographer, a boudoir photographer, and a newborn photographer. They might be like all of those things. Cool. If you put all of those services and those package options or overviews on one page and just call it photography services, you're probably not going to show up on Google. Photography services,
Interesting.
it's a little bit too competitive. It's also like, are you in that, like, is your website and is that page the absolute best solution to the problem? Probably not. It feels a little vague. But if you create separate pages for each of those, boudoir photography packages, or wedding photographer in Buffalo, New York, or boudoir photography, uh, something, it's like if you create separate services pages for those, now you can target very specific long tail keywords that associate with each of those pages. And now each of those pages have not only a higher chance of ranking on Google, but it's also a higher chance of conversion because those people already know what they're looking for. Now they're just hopping on your website to see if they like your portfolio. Does it align with their budget? And like, do they like your vibe and stuff like that?
That's a great tip. And that's something like I wouldn't naturally think about, but from that perspective, it makes a lot of sense. What about people who, we use Kajabi these days. What about people who aren't using WordPress? How do these like website, would we call them hosting sites? Do they change anything in the SEO game?
So SEO, like there is technical SEO. And here's the thing about different builders and stuff like that. Like WordPress is amazing, and I will say it's probably the most flexible and customizable because we have access to server things and caching and just like so many more tools that play into technical SEO and foundational and user experience. We have more control over that stuff. I will say most websites on most website platforms can rank, but you might have to do more band-aid solutions because your platform might not take care of it in a way that other website platforms take care of it. So my favorite ones, WordPress, Squarespace, Shopify, Show It's Okay.
Hmm.
Those are my top ones. Wix is not my favorite. They've gotten a lot better. I have worked on client websites. It's just not my favorite because it feels clunky to me. They have done a lot in terms of like really upping their back end coding that Google reads. But last time I checked, it's like you had to pay an extra fee in order to have like a mobile responsive website. And I think that's kind of fucked up.
Mm.
So that's why Wix probably isn't my favorite. I would say the worst is like GoDaddy website builder. Like, please, no, run away, run and hide. Absolutely not. Just because it's clunky and you have to do more things on the technical aspect in order to fix the issues or the gaps that that platform has. So it's harder. And it also all depends on like how competitive the keywords are that you're ranking for.
Right.
So the less competitive, the less perfect your website has to be. The more competitive, the more things you have to get right. So it might not be an issue for you if your industry or that keyword isn't searched very much and like it's pretty like there is really no people showing up for it. It might not be an issue. But it's like if you're going after, let's say you're a coach and you want to show up for life coach, ooh, shit, fam. Like your website has got to be like pretty stacked sometimes, unless you're going after like, I don't know, something more specific, intuitive life coach. Even just adding one more word like that will drop the competition by a lot, usually. So I will say like course platforms like Kajabi, and I don't even know other ones off the top of
Like
my head.
Teachable, also Go High Level. I feel like it's a little clunky just from a design perspective. I'm also using that for another thing.
Yeah, I would not recommend Go High Level like ever. That would probably be like the very last. I might even recommend GoDaddy Website Builder before Go High Level, just
Oh,
because like I have seen a client's website on that when we were doing consulting, and there was like, you have to create your own sitemap, you have to create your own like all of this other stuff. I think that's kind of fucked up. I think if you're going to offer website options, I think that you should automatically create the sitemap and the robots.txt file and that stuff. So in that sense, Kajabi is probably like one of the top ones that have really improved like the SEO options for their platform, but they're a course platform first. They're not a website platform first. And so it all comes down to priorities. Well, it's more important for everything to live on one thing. Okay, then cool, go with it. If it's not, I use Kajabi too, but I don't use it for my website. My website's on WordPress. And so I connect them,
right,
but it's like I'm not relying on Kajabi's SEO functionality
right.
because like WordPress was created for websites, but they weren't I think that their course hosting stuff is clunky.
Yep,
So it
yep,
all depends on like what's a priority to you.
yep. It's so interesting. There's so much out there, right? And sometimes we don't know these things until we listen to an episode like this and we get all the juicy details. So I love that. All right, as we start to wrap it up, what else do you have going on that you want to share with the community and the audience? And where can people find you? Obviously at your website, everyone.
Yeah, my website, mariahlashesky.com. I'm just kidding. It's mariahmagazine.com, which is way easier to type in. And also, like I said, my YouTube channel, Mariah Magazine, you can search me over there. If you hang out on Instagram, I love the DMs over there. It's really how I like connect with my people. So if you listen to this episode, if you have any questions about things, I use people's questions and stuff like that to be able to influence like my workshops, my YouTube videos, and all of that. So slide into the DMs over there. And I host live workshops probably like a few times a year. So, like hopping over to my email list, which if you download that free roadmap to SEO, you'll be added to my email list. And so you'll be updated on any of the new stuff. But I will say, I think when the time that this episode airs, my DIY SEO, I don't even know what that is. My DIY SEO course will be updated. And y'all, listen. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm going to toot my own horn. This fucking update is legit. I am so proud of this update. Like previously, it was more written content because that's where I felt comfortable. And I really didn't have that confidence that I do now in terms of showing up and teaching live and tutorials. YouTube has really increased my confidence and my skills in that way. And so I went back into the course and I'm literally like almost done updating it at the time of this recording. But by the time it goes live, it's going to be updated. It's fucking sick. And so if you want to go ahead and check that out, it's over on my website, mariahmagazine.com. You can use the code SEO Love 10 for $10 off of it. There's a pay in full, there's a payment plan, all of that stuff. You get access to the free Facebook group if you have any questions on the content as you're like working through stuff. But it's just like a course that actually dives into the foundations, actually explains like all of this stuff that I'm talking about in hopefully a way that's like easier to understand. And I tried really hard to stay focused. So it's like you could focus on the things that are actually going to move the needle and like help you build momentum as you maybe build out your website or start creating content or whatever you want to do. So if you're interested in DIY SEO at all, definitely take a look at that.
Love that. Thank you for coming on the show today. Great conversation, fun energy. I learned some stuff. So thank you, Mariah. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
Sweet. Thanks for listening to another episode of Visibility Era, the podcast.